Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for October 22nd, 2024. I'm Dave DuFour here with Zena Keita. Coming up, opening night in the NBA, and right now it seems like both teams lost the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. Celtics beat writer Jay King stops by to take us behind the scenes of the Celtics and their record-tying performance, and we talk about some of the players that we're excited to see on opening day. Good morning, folks. Good morning, Zena. Before we get started, wanted to remind you guys that you can reach out to us via email at nbadaily@theathletic.com. Shoot us your questions and comments. We've already gotten some super nice emails so far wishing us luck on the season, so thank you guys for that. Zena, we had some historic things happening on opening night. Let's start in LA, where LeBron James and LeBron James Jr. shared the court on opening night in a Lakers win.
Why is this feat so special?
It's family. It's always been family over everything. And, for me, I lost a lot of time because of this league and committing to this league, being on the road at times, missing a lot of his things, Bryce's things, Zuri's things. So to be able to have this moment where I'm working still and I can work alongside my son, it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever got from the man above, and I'm going to take full advantage of it.
And how was that for you?
It was amazing. I mean, it's so rare to be able to see a generational talent like LeBron in general, and then to see him take the court with his son. How often can we say that this is going to happen in NBA history? It was super cool to see him on the bench, talking to him, letting him know, just play carefree, be in the moment. And I'm sure he had an awesome time being out there with his dad.
Is he now a multi-generational superstar? Is that what we have to refer to LeBron James as? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know another generational superstar that's on the Lakers, and that's Anthony Davis. He was sick tonight. 36 points, 15 rebounds, blocked a few shots, including a huge one on Rudy Gobert that I'm sure we're going to see the highlights of all day.
Anthony Davis was vintage Anthony Davis. This is the Anthony Davis that everyone thinks of when they cry about, his health and, if he was only on the floor for a little bit longer. No, this was him moving around the floor, getting the ball in different pockets, sizing up his man, being aggressive to the basket. It was just beautiful basketball out of him, but not only offensively, also defensively, being a rim protector, being someone that could switch and play well off the screen. I mean, I loved seeing this version of Anthony Davis, and hopefully he can stay healthy so we can see it all season long.
Yeah, a big question mark coming in. What's JJ Redick going to do as a coach? He was the big summer addition for the Lakers, and I think if we're just taking away stuff from one game, I think we can say this. He's going to get Anthony Davis in spots where he can touch the basketball and have an advantage. It's not just the same possessions at the same starting point every single time down. He got Anthony Davis playing very aggressive, 30 and a half shooting possessions tonight. So 23 field goal attempts, 15 free throws. So that means he was attacking the basket. Only took a few threes. He took one late as the shot clock expired or end of the quarter and missed that. But the three that he took, they were pretty decent, came in the flow of the offense, didn't force anything. On the other hand, did not love what I saw from the Timberwolves tonight. Speaking of forcing, Anthony Edwards, I thought forced a lot in this game, was playing a lot of hero ball. He winds up with 3 assists, but look, if they are going to succeed, they need him to be a big playmaker.
And I think that's what he was trying to do. You could see that his play was characteristic of someone that had in their head, I need to take this game over. I need to take the Wolves to the next level. But unfortunately, it wasn't coming through allowing their stuff to develop, allowing the players around them to develop. It was from Anthony believing that he needed to go ISO a lot. So hopefully with more chemistry, as they're still trying to figure themselves out, as Julius Randle figures out his role, as the bench finds their way to, on the floor to continue to give the Wolves a push and an elevation, I'm hoping that this will all get blended out by towards the start of the season.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Julius Randle. Trying to integrate him so late in the process, as the season's coming along, and it showed. I do not think they had much chemistry out there, and that's to be expected. We'll see how they figure things out. I know one thing, Zena, you cannot have these lineups, or you're going to have to find a way to mitigate these lineups where you've got Randle and Naz Reid out there. It was a layup line for the Lakers the whole time the two big lineup was out there.
I feel for Randle because when have we ever seen him having to play the 4 and the 5 on defense? When have we ever had to see him play the back line of a defense, of a zone defense? He clearly was doing his job and playing a role that this team needed him to play. And he's just not used to it yet. And the people around him clearly weren't used to it yet. But yes, for a team that was the top defensive team in the league last year, if they want to hold on to that title and hold on to that clout as a defensive team, they've got to figure this out. And they've got the size. They've got the personnel to be able to do it.
Yeah, from the team that traded away Karl Anthony Towns, we're now going to go to the team that traded for Karl Anthony Towns, and they don't know what they're doing with them yet. They got just stomped. First night in the NBA, welcome to the NBA. You've got a blowout. And for the Knicks, I mean, I think the question marks start with, how do you get Karl Anthony Towns open on offense? The 3-point line just wasn't there for him. Boston did a great job of guarding him, but New York has to find a way to free him up.
Boston is an incredibly switchable team. And that is what kind of congested everything that New York was trying to do. Was every single time you looked up, there was a new Boston player in your face. It was crazy to see Drew Holiday being the defender that was mostly on Karl Anthony Towns, but it is a testament to just how good their defense is and how switchable it is. I would have loved to see the Knicks take more advantage of finding Cat around the perimeter, allowing him to take advantage of what he's known for, being one of the best 3-point shooting big men. Instead, you saw a lot of back screens, you saw a lot of pin down screens to get him in the post area. And back to the basket is not what we know Cat for. So hopefully you'll see some shifts around ways that he can get involved at the top of the key as opposed to closer to the basket.
If Tom Thibodeau had an offensive coordinator, as my good friend Moody has said he has needed for years, maybe they would have just taken this excellent passing big man and used him the way that they used their excellent passing big men last season when they had Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson out there in the offense. Get him up around the elbow extended. Get him up on the wing. Maybe run some inverted pick and roll. I mean, Jalen Brunson can set a screen. Steph Curry does it every single game. I could go on and on and on from this one game on all the Knicks problems that they're going to have to solve out. And that's not even talking about the defense, because frankly, being in a drop against a team that's going to shoot 63s is going to result in a lot of losses. So they got to figure that one out. But for more on this and from the Celtics side of things, we're going to TD Garden after the break to talk to my main man, Jay King. The Boston Celtics were absolutely dominant on ring night. So we had to holler at the kid who's there live at the Garden. Kid, welcome to the show. Jay King, the Boston Celtics beat writer for The Athletic. When was the last time you saw a shooting performance like this outside of your men's rec league?
Well, men's rec league every Saturday morning. But the Celtics, this is kind of what they do. Not every night, obviously. They tied the NBA record for 3-point makes tonight. But that's just kind of the style that they played last year, getting up a ton of threes, producing great looks. And when they get hot, they're really tough to beat, almost impossible to beat. When they don't, they're tough to beat anyway because of the defense they play. So pretty regularly that I see somewhat close to that, but wow. I mean, making your 29-3 3 minutes into the fourth quarter and then missing 13 straight after that with a chance to break the NBA record was pretty magical.
Yeah, 29 threes in the first 40 minutes of the game, and then they couldn't hit one. These guys got tight down the stretch. Jaylen Brown had a chance coming out of a timeout, and he thought about it way too long. That was the one that could have dropped, and then the basketball gods start working against him. And I'm actually going to give credit to Joe Mazzulla here for dribbling it out, because it had gone maybe a little bit too far. The fans did get into it. The players were clearly feeling it. But, hey, you know what, Jay? I think they're probably going to break that record a couple times this season. I don't know about you, but they 61 attempts. That's more than they took all of last year in any game.
Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser were kind of laughing about it in the locker room afterward. And Pritchard said to him, like, if we had just played our regular game, regular basketball the rest of the way, we would have broken the record. But instead, they just went out of their way to try to break the record and missed everything. And they got some good looks, but there were 3 air balls in the bunch. It was actually pretty hilarious. They were chanting one more 3 in the Garden. And then when the Celtics decided to dribble out the shot clock instead of going for it in the final minute, they started booing them while they were up 30 on ring night. So
ring night is
just an incredible moment in Boston.
My question is, up 30 on ring night, it's everything you would want if you're an organization. It's everything for the fans. I thought it was hilarious when I heard Reggie Miller call this the revenge tour, and particularly for the Celtics, who are literally celebrating their ring night, but then also Jason Tatum, who led this team to a championship last year, comes out, hits the first three, hits another three, and we're labeling this as if there was a chip on his shoulder on ring night. What did you make of that title of the revenge tour?
Yeah, you can see it because, what happened on the Olympics, for the resume that he has, the accomplishments that he has in his career, he was probably the most accomplished player ever to get DMPCDs in an Olympics. And so you can see why he would have a chip on his shoulder. You can see why, after all the critics calling out his jump shot, how it looked broken during the playoffs and again during the Olympics, to come out and hit 4 in the first quarter and then 7 in the game and just kind of remind people, like, yeah, I'm Jason Tatum. I've been doing this for a while. I'm more than capable of making shots. I don't know if revenge tour is the right term to say, but I understand the people who think that even after the championship, he has a lot to prove.
And actually, Jay, he hit so many threes that there's one you missed. He was 8 of 11 for 3 in this game.
Bad. 8 of 11.
37 points. I'll tell you what I loved, and this is a continuation of a theme that we saw in the playoffs from him. I mean, when the shot wasn't falling, Jason Tatum still did things to contribute to winning, especially his playmaking went up. 10 assists in this game, Jay. So not only did he address the shooting thing, and he really did address it, the jumper, while mechanically is pretty much the same, it is so much smoother and the faster release, and he just goes through it. So he eliminated the whole hitch that he had in his jump shot, and it really showed tonight. But the 10 assists to me stand out. That is the sort of thing that I want to see from Jason Tatum. I think he could be one of these guys like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, who's up there around, 30 a night, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. Like, he's got that in his game.
And I thought it was really impressive how he handled it after he got hot. He got hot and he wasn't hunting bad shots. Instead, the Knicks reacted to him being hot and started sending double teams, started picking him up further outside the 3-point arc. And he just calmly drew the double team, found Al Horford, kept the ball moving. Sometimes it was Horford to get the shot. Sometimes the ball would swing to another teammate and he would get a hockey assist. And so that's the part of his game where he's just come such a long way. It's not about his stats anymore. It's not about getting himself going. It's what can I do to maximize this possession for my team? And I thought it was just a really mature, poised second half for him after scoring, I believe it was 25 points in the first half. It might have been just 23. But either way, he came out in the second half, and instead of trying to go for 40, trying to go for 50, it was just, I'm going to make the right play time and time again. And he was a big reason why the Celtics made as many threes as they did, not just making the 8 himself, but also setting the table for so many guys to get open looks around him.
And making the right play, I think, is the definitive overall view of how the Celtics play tonight, because of course it wasn't just Jason Tatum going off 29 of 61 shots. This seems to be their offense. This has been their offense. You saw them be top 3 last year in 3-point attempts and makes. But there is also the argument of, is this boring at basketball, right? Is this going to be is going to be less exciting to watch? You heard Kevin Harlan say it's quiet in this building, and the 30th three was probably the most exciting thing that the fans were waiting for. What do you make of looking at the way that the Celtics play, even though it's fundamental, even though it's true basketball offensive principles, it's not super exciting?
I mean, I guess it depends how you would define exciting. They had the best offensive rating in NBA history last year. I believe they might not have ended with just 3 turnovers with just a few minutes left in the game. They had only 3 turnovers tonight, just played a super clean game, especially for the opening night of the regular season. Just the sharpness that they showed. And I think they should be on a different level than other teams right now because they won a championship. They brought everybody back. They're not figuring stuff out about themselves. They should be, advancing from where they were and picking up where they left off. And it's felt like that throughout preseason. It felt like that tonight against the Knicks. So Was it a boring blowout to some extent? Yeah, but also the way they played and the execution they showed. I mean, at least Joe Mazzulla is excited. Maybe other people are bored by it. Well, I'm sure Joe Mazzulla is excited.
It's definitely not as flashy, but it is. I love the way you say that. Clean basketball. If you want to see players being used within their system well, turn on a Celtics game. And that's exactly what you saw tonight.
Yeah, a lot of people debating whether Mazzulla ball is broken basketball. I think we've got 81 at least more games to figure that out. Jay King, go and read him over at The Athletic. Do it for the kid. Coming up after the break, me and Zena take a look at opening day's big matchups. A little bit of news, and I guess Rudy Gobert was negotiating this contract in the layup lines before the game, but Rudy Gobert has decided to opt out of a $46.6 million player option for next season and instead sign an extension for 3 years, $110 million. So a little bit less money for Gobert, but he locks in some long-term security as he gets a little bit older. Zena, this opens up some flexibility for the Timberwolves.
Absolutely. Smart move by Rudy Gobert, coming off his 4th Defensive Player of the Year, making sure that he's on a team that he was able to help get to the Western Conference Finals and get a little bit of money when he gets a little bit older. I love this move for him and for Minnesota, making a little bit of room for somebody they might be able to bring in to help out this team.
Yeah, well, we had opening night last night, the whole primetime doubleheader start of the season, and opening day where it's just, here's the full fire hose of NBA games. We've got 10 games, Zena, way too much for us to cover on this podcast. Tell me who you're looking forward to seeing today.
Of course, the Warriors. Very excited to see what this new iteration of the Warriors looks like. But I am also very excited to see Cade Cunningham in Detroit. I know that's random, but he's got some new personnel around him. He's got a new coach, and this could be the opportunity for us to finally see all the hype around Cunningham and if it was worth it.
Well, for me, look, everybody keeps telling me that the Detroit Pistons are going to win some basketball games this year. They might be a play-in team. I'm excited to see it. They got the Indiana Pacers up first. I think the Pacers are probably going to steamroll them, but it'll be fun to watch no matter what. And then I'm very high, for some reason, on the Atlanta Hawks, and I cannot wait to watch Trae Young play. I really like the way they looked in preseason. Been having a lot of fun. Jalen Johnson, I think, is going to be a very good player this year, and I'm excited for Zachary Richache.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to watch. Super active, the unbelievable passes that we've seen them play. Like, they're going to be a new flashy team in the East.
Yeah, and then everyone's favorite, the Houston Rockets. I think, with all the young guys there. Reed Shepherd, Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün. It's like 3 of the most exciting young players in the league.
Thompson, like the list goes on and on and on. Just high, bouncy, young guys. Just, it's going to be a lot of fun watching.
Yeah, very excited to stop thinking about these guys and what they're going to look like and to actually see what it looks like come real games. And finally, Zena, because now I think 2 times in a row, it's just a segment. We got to talk about Joe Mazzulla.
2 questions. 1, what went through your mind when you were handed your ring? And 2, what did the court taste like?
Blood. Maybe I wish it did. When I got the ring, I don't know. This thing's too big. I don't know why it's so big, and I'm never gonna wear it. But it's cool to have. It's kind of what I thought.
Joe Mazzulla after the game he was asked about his ring. Jared Weiss, shout out to Jared Weiss, friend of the show, beat writer for us over at The Athletic. He asked what the court tasted like, and Joe Mazzulla said it tasted like blood, which I think is just like perfectly on brand for them. But he also said he didn't know what he was going to do with his championship ring, so it got me thinking, as Joe Mazzulla often does, gets me thinking, Zena, if you had a championship ring, what would you do with yours?
Fun fact, I actually have one. Thanks to the Warriors, back in 2018, got mine on the back end of the back-to-back, and for the first year, I just wore it around. People ask me to bring it all the time. One of the best things ever, bringing it to my Yale 5th year reunion, and people who had served in the UN, people who had found new plant life in the Brazilian rainforest, people who had accomplished real things, Dave, asking me about my championship ring at my reunion. They thought it was really, really cool. And yeah, that was what I would do. I just wear it so other people could find it amazing.
Yeah, and now I have literally no response to my own question because they don't give championship rings for placing top 16 in the World Cup. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. Go and check out our pals over at No Dunks. Hey, you might know their special guest today, S. Baraheni, so go and check that out. For Zena Keita, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.